Hey there, young explorers. Are you ready for an amazing adventure? We're not going to a jungle or outer space, nope. We're going deep into the incredible world that's right under our feet. That's right, today we are going to uncover the secret stories of rocks.
Have you ever just picked up a random rock and thought, where did you come from? What have you seen? Well, you might be surprised to find out that pretty much every single rock has a story. And it's a story that's millions of years old.
Okay, check this out. This rock right here, it's basically a time capsule from an ancient world. See those little white shapes in there? Those are actual fossils. They're the leftover bits of tiny sea creatures that lived a super long time ago. So what this rock is telling us is that it used to be at the bottom of an ocean. I mean, how cool is that?
All right, so if we want to understand a rock's story, we've got to become rock detectives. And you know what every good detective needs to do? They need to know how to describe the clues. So let's do it. Let's learn how to describe any rock we find.
First up, our first clue is texture. Just think about holding a rock in your hand. Is it all bumpy and scratchy, or is it super smooth, like a perfect skipping stone? Well, that feeling, that's its texture. And believe it or not, it tells us a whole lot about how that rock was made.
Next clue, clue number 2, color. Yeah, rocks aren't just gray, no way. They can be pink, they can be black, they can be sparkly, or have tons of different colors all swirled together. And where do those colors come from? Well, they come from all the different ingredients, which we call minerals. And those minerals are the natural building blocks for all rocks.
Okay, now if you look super closely at a rock, you might see tiny little specks or even crystals. We call these grains. See, all rocks are made of these little grains, all packed together. So the question is, are the grains big and chunky, or are they so tiny you can barely even see them? This little clue is a huge help when we try to figure out what family a rock belongs to.
And speaking of families, guess what? There are 3 main types or families of rocks. A fun way to think of them is like 3 different teams. You've got Team Igneous, Team Sedimentary, and Team Metamorphic. And each team has a completely different story of how it was born.
So, really quick, igneous rocks, they're formed from hot liquid rock that cools down. Sedimentary rocks are made from all these little pieces of other things, all squished together. And metamorphic rocks. Well, those are old rocks that got totally changed by a ton of heat and pressure. All right, let's meet each one up close.
First up, let's talk about igneous rocks, aka the fire rocks. Just picture a volcano erupting with that super hot, gooey lava. Well, when that lava finally cools down and gets hard, boom, it becomes an igneous rock. It's basically frozen lava, and that's why they're usually really hard and sometimes even kind of shiny.
Okay, next up, let's meet the sedimentary rocks, which I like to call the layer cake rocks. These guys are formed when tiny little pieces of sand, mud, and even shells all settle down at the bottom of a lake or an ocean. Then, over millions and millions of years, more and more layers just pile on top, squishing the bottom layers together super tight until they form a new rock. And here's the best part. This is where we find those awesome fossils. It's literally how we know about dinosaurs. Their bones got trapped in between all those layers.
And our last family member to meet, Metamorphic, the shapeshifter rocks. These are really cool. They actually start out as either igneous or sedimentary rocks, but then they get buried way deep inside the earth. And down there, oh, it is super hot and everything is getting squeezed like crazy. This insane heat and pressure basically bakes and squishes the old rock until it completely changes or morphs into a brand new kind of rock.
You might not even realize it, but these rock families, they're everywhere. See that shiny countertop in your kitchen? That's probably granite, which is an igneous rock. Or how about a beautiful statue you might see in a park? A lot of those are made of marble, and that's a metamorphic rock. See? You're seeing them all the time, and you may not even know it.
But here's what I think is the most amazing part of all. A rock doesn't just stay in the same family forever. Nope. The Earth has this giant, super-duper slow recycling program just for rocks. And it's been going on for billions of years.
And this amazing process, it's called the rock cycle. Think of it like a circle of life, but for rocks. All these arrows you see, they're showing us how any rock, whether it's igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic, can get transformed into any other type of rock. It just goes on and on. It never, ever ends.
So let's follow a rock on its journey, okay? It might start deep underground where it gets so incredibly hot that it melts into magma.
Then, when that magma cools off, bam, it hardens into a brand new igneous rock. But wait, it's not done. Wind and rain can come along and break that rock down into tiny little pieces we call sediment. Then those pieces get washed into the ocean, they get squished together, and they become a sedimentary rock. And then, well, that rock might get pushed deep underground all over again, where tons of heat and pressure turn it into a metamorphic rock. Wow!
And this cycle just keeps on going and going and going. I mean, think about it. A rock that you find in your backyard today might have been a totally different type of rock millions of years ago, and it might become something completely new millions of years from now. It really is a never-ending transformation.
Okay, so we know that rocks are changing all the time, right? But is there an end to their journey? Like, what happens when a rock just keeps getting broken down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces?
Well, it turns out those same forces, the wind and water that break down rocks in a process we call weathering, they actually do something else that is incredibly important. They help create soil. Yep. The journey from a giant boulder all the way down to the dirt in a garden, that's kind of like the final chapter in that rock story.
So here's how that works. You've got wind and rain just constantly beating on rocks, right? Breaking them into smaller and smaller bits. Then, tiny plant roots can start to wiggle their way into the cracks, and as those roots grow bigger, they act like little wedges, splitting the rock apart. Now, over a very, very long time, we're talking thousands of years, these tiny rock pieces get all mixed up with stuff like old leaves and other organic matter, and voila! You get soil, the exact same soil we need to grow all of our food.
So what's the big takeaway here? What's the most important thing to remember? It's this. Every single rock is made of tiny mineral grains. And it's the slow but really powerful process of those grains breaking down that gives us all the rich soil that covers our planet. From a huge, mighty mountain all the way down to a tiny grain of dirt, it's all connected.
So, the next time you're outside and you spot a cool-looking rock, I want you to pick it up. Take a good look at it. Is it igneous? Sedimentary? Maybe metamorphic? Was it once part of a volcano, do you think? Could it have had a fossil inside millions of years ago? Just think about all the amazing stories it could tell you about its incredible journey through the rock cycle. Pretty amazing, right? Now get out there and keep exploring.